Hey everyone, welcome back to the Shadburn Show. For this episode, I wanted to talk about resources that I believe advanced Christians should be using to just educate themselves and grow their faith on a regular basis. My observation with today's Christians is that we don't necessarily further our education outside of church, or if we ever had the chance to go to a private Christian school, we don't further our education after we graduate from said school. I just think it's important now more than ever that we're at least able to reference reasons for our faith and educational resources, and, you know, if nothing else, be able to point people in the right direction. So what I wanted to do today was, for anyone that's listening and anybody that's interested in growing their faith and just growing knowledge about what they believe and why they believe in it, these are going to be my top 5 resources that I go to on a regular basis to, just be better. So I took the time to set up a couple of different windows on my computer, and I'll take you to my screen. And if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see this. But if you're listening through the podcast platform, I'm going to describe this as best as I possibly can. Me and my wife have even talked about this before, and we both believe in doing our own separate thing, but then coming back together to share what we've learned and to talk about it. And that's a fun conversation for us. So this is something that I like to on a daily or weekly basis kind of do on my own, and then we'll come back together and I like to talk to her about something significant that I learned. It can be either Old Testament, apologetics, it could be world issues, it could be all of the above. But I like to do this in my spare time or when I'm on my way to work and give these platforms a listen and grow from there. These platforms, I'll say, are also very awesome. They are very accessible and they're very easy to understand. All the people here that are on these platforms are very strong, very smart, intelligent people. And I love hearing what they have to say on a regular basis. And they've brought a lot of valuable lessons to me. And I just felt the need to pass that on to you guys. So let's go ahead and take a look here. And if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see what I'm talking about. So for the first resource that I wanted to bring up, it is Pastor Jimmy Evans, who I believe is in Fort Worth, Texas. And he has a platform called XO Marriage. He has other podcasts that he does different sermons on. He's got a great podcast called The Tipping Point, which is, you know what? I'll save that as a surprise. Go check that out on your own. You'll see what I'm talking about. But XO Marriage, for me, is a very important resource because XO Marriage, obviously, it's a very marriage-based podcast that he gives sermons or lessons on that strengthen mine and Laura's marriage, and that's the number one thing in our lives, because if our marriage doesn't work well, then we don't work well. And so I wanted to show you guys this platform real quick. We'll take a look here. So this is the YouTube channel for XO Marriage, and you can see he's got sermons called Building a Lasting Family, Weekly Marriage Tune-Up, Disarming Anger and Resolving Conflicts. I actually found that to be super valuable, and we started implementing that kind of right when we got married, because we found this platform before we got married, and we've been married for about 1.5 years now. And learning to resolve conflict in the heat of the moment has been one of the more important things that has actually spared us from, saying something that we would regret later. You never want to You never want to say anything in the heat of the moment that would ever hurt the person that you love the most. More often than not, whenever you say something that is really hurtful, it's not so much that you really want to hurt the person. It's more that you're just trying to get your point across, and you are at that point willing to do anything to get your point across, and it ends up just hurting that person. So looking at Jimmy Evans' Exo Marriage podcast platform and YouTube channel has been an amazing resource for me and my wife. You can also access his podcasts on Apple iTunes and I believe on Spotify, but YouTube and Apple Podcasts is where I go to find Exo Marriage the most. It shows resource after resource, which has just been awesome, and I couldn't recommend it enough. One thing that I want to bring up as well is that me and the wife are going to get together and do another podcast episode talking about our favorite resources for growing our faith and education, and she's going to give her 5 resources as well. I may expand upon these in those episode or in that episode, but for right now, I'm just doing my own thing with bringing you these different platforms. So let's move on to the next one. So this guy's really cool. Funny story about how I came across Dr. Michael S. Heiser. I heard him name dropped twice by 2 different resources, and one was Red Pen Logic, and then another guy I believe was Vodi Bakum. And actually those other 2 guys are part of my resources. So when I heard that, when I heard Dr. Michael Heiser get his name dropped from 2 different sources, I thought I'd go check him out. He has his PhD in Hebrew, Bible, and Semitic languages, and this guy's probably one of the more intelligent people that I've ever come across. He goes over Old Testament lessons and peels apart the Old Testament for the significant meanings that we might be grazing across and never really get the chance to examine. But these videos and these podcasts that he puts out, it's over very minute subjects, but it's so heavy and rich with different knowledge and different lessons that it just shows that there was way more depth than most people would understand about the New Testament. It's not just a historical document. Like, obviously, that's probably one of the most important things, but the meaning in the verbiage, the meaning in the language, the meaning in the numbers, and the meaning in different rituals, and dissecting the character of God in the Old Testament has been one of the craziest things that I've been able to learn more about with Dr. Michael Heiser and his YouTube channel, because we'll explore his channel real quick. So if you're watching, you can see where he has very particular videos on specific subjects, like the name of the Lord is his presence. Obviously watch that on your own, because he'll be able to explain it way better than I did. One is evil isn't a problem if there's no free will. He explains that further. Why you should read the Bible in its original language, or its original translation. These are all very deep, heavy subjects, but they are definitely worth the listen. He's very articulate in the way that he explains things, so it's not like you're going to get lost in translation or something like that. But it's super cool to watch him take something that we wouldn't think about initially, and then he just dissects the whole thing in front of us, and it just turns out to be like this whole plethora of knowledge. It's been super cool. Just getting educated by some of his videos. And I mean, trust me, there is no shortage of videos. If you're looking at the screen now, you'll see that there is enough content here to occupy you for, I would say, for at least a year or 2, if you watched a video every day and you tried to, you tried to digest all that on your own. But yeah, his name's Dr. Michael Heiser, and he does have a YouTube channel. It's just Dr. Michael Heiser. And then I'm sure you can find him on various podcasts, but that's another resource that I like to digest on a regular basis. Now let's go to one of my favorites. Pastor Voddie Baucham. I'm sure that I'm not the first person that has ever mentioned Voddie Baucham to you. I'm sure that if you are in the same community that I am, Voddie Baucham has crossed your path, and he needs no introduction. He's truly a genius, and he's a very intelligent person, but he is one of my favorite pastors today. He is very scripture-oriented, and what I mean by that is that there are two types of preaching, and I hope that I get this correct, but there is topical preaching, and then there's expository preaching. I hope that's the right word. But Voddie Baucham is an expository preacher. And what I mean by that is he takes scripture and then he preaches on that scripture. He expands upon it. It is a lesson. And he can even make it basically adapt to like what we're like dealing with today, right? But that's not topical preaching. Topical preaching is basically when a pastor picks a topic, let's say it's finances or let's say it's relationships, and then they create a whole podcast series They create a whole sermon series about finances or relationships, and they will incorporate scripture to surround that topic. Now that's what topical preaching is. Voddie Baucham does expository preaching, which I believe, in my personal opinion, is just kind of more of a better way of preaching. I wouldn't discount topical preaching. It's obviously it has its place and it's necessary, but I would be more comfortable raising my family in a church where expository preaching was the curriculum, I guess you could say. I don't think Voddie Baucham has his own channel, but his sermons are all over the place. I don't think it would be hard to find his sermons either. You could see it all over YouTube, or you could see it on Apple or Spotify podcasts. All you have to do is search Voddie Baucham and his sermons will show up. But some of his favorite sermons that I've come across is Biblical Justice for Social Justice. And that is probably more of a topical sermon because he is directly confronting something that we're all dealing with today. It's an hour-long sermon, but I can't recommend that one enough. If you're watching on the screen right now, you'll see the mouse circling around it. I would definitely go and listen to that. You could listen to it in a car ride. You could listen to it while you're on a walk, and it'll draw you in because it's important. Other sermons, Voddie Baucham talks about the world, the flesh, and the devil, which is basically what the enemy in Scripture is manifested as, and Voddie Baucham explains that and expands upon that. Another one of my favorite sermons is Defending the Faith in a Hostile World. He's really good about talking about how the Bible is capable of defending itself. He doesn't really go to outside sources to back up the validity of the Bible, which I think is really cool. I know that there are very other potent and legitimate ways of backing up the Bible using outside sources, but he likes to use the Bible to validate the Bible, which I think we all need. We all need to be able to digest that and use that and have that as a resource for ourselves for whenever we are talking to somebody about what we believe and why we believe in it. So yeah, Voddie is one of my favorites to this day. Such a good dude. Next, Reasonable Faith. Reasonable Faith is Dr. William Lane Craig's platform. Dr. William Lane Craig is a apologetist. I'm not even saying that right. Just ignore me. He does apologetics. That's what I should say. He's known for doing various debates. I believe he's a biblical philosopher, and man, where do I start? He is one of the smartest people that I know, but he's smart in a way where his defending of the Bible he's probably the best at doing it, in all honesty, because he will meet you on every front of whatever subject that you want to discuss that would have to do with the validity of the Bible, which would be if you want to approach it on a scientific basis, if you want to approach it on a philosophical basis or a moral basis, maybe even a historical basis. You want to just debate it on any front, like any subject in that matter, and he is ready to tell you about it. And he has all of his resources, all of his lessons, all of his studies available on Reasonable Faith. He also has an app. So obviously I'm showing you the YouTube channel on here. His app is way more resourceful. He has all of his lectures on there, which go on for hours. And again, he's so articulate in explaining his lessons and his lectures and the arguments for the Bible. And I think it wouldn't be lost on you to go check this out, because you wouldn't be able to not learn anything. Like, he has just a whole Rolodex of resources to look at, and other people that he even talks to about it. He was even on the Sunday special, I believe, on Ben Shapiro's YouTube channel. And Ben Shapiro is he's an Orthodox Jew, and he is a very intelligent person. But even William Lane Craig took him to task on Isaiah chapter 53 and explained the gospel to him. And it was something that even Ben Shapiro found really enlightening and astounding. And I just think it's incredible that William Lane Craig has made such a name for himself. Probably one of the best debates on here that I will point out is Craig versus Hitchens. Christopher Hitchens was a prominent atheist. He was super famous for his atheist lectures and his debates, because he was a really smart dude. But I kid you not, watching this debate between William Lane Craig and Christopher Hitchens pretty much sealed it for me. Anybody that watches this, I don't think you could listen to that whole thing and walk away unconvinced, because it is a very incredible display of intellectuality between William Lane Craig and Christopher Hitchens. But William Lane Craig most obviously comes out on top with the debate, and it's respectable. It's still, I mean, even Christopher Hitchens, you can see the respect coming from him. It was super knowledgeable, and it was just a clash of intellectual titans, and it was awesome. So reasonablefaith.org is the website. reasonablefaith.org is the YouTube channel. They have an app. Go check it out. Podcasts are everywhere. That's number 4. Number 5, this is actually a recent one that I just came across, but it's actually been pretty awesome. Red Pen Logic. This guy's name, from all I know, is his name's Mr. B, but he is an I don't know the word. I'm not even going to bother trying to say it. He does apologetics, but he's pretty cool, because what he does is he only does 2 or 3 minute clips. And these clips are people who, he will observe the video of somebody posing a problem with Jesus or with the Bible, and they will make their argument on why it's not true or what's false about it, and he will hear that argument, and then he will take a minute or 2 minutes to confront that argument and give an explanation for it. All of his videos have been super cool because he gets right to the heart of the issue, and he explains it amicably and very methodically. And it's been super helpful for me because, he's not being facetious about it all, but he confronts these issues right on their face. Some people will talk about abortion. Some people will talk about John 3:16. Some people will talk about, the scientific approach. A lot of people will pose their questions, and he's done awesome with giving a rebuttal in such a way that it's not mean, it's not facetious, because I think today you see a lot of people doing a lot of name calling or just being insulting, and I don't think that helps at all. He is just simply saying, okay, so here's what your argument is, and here's the answer to that argument. Hope you enjoy. And it's been really cool watching his videos. He's got a ton of resources. So you wouldn't be lost on checking this guy out. It's really cool. Red Pen Logic. So with that being said, these resources are important. I would recommend this to any Christian, but more so, I would recommend this to advanced Christians. And what I mean by that is I'm not insulting anybody that isn't an advanced Christian, but what I would define that as is people who have had a long-standing relationship with the Lord, who are grounded in their faith, who don't really have questions anymore that pose doubt. But, when do we not? But if you are more on the end of, okay, I don't have any doubts, but I also don't know how to share this with people. I don't know how to address modern day issues or topics and give people either a valid response or even point them in the right direction. This is what I would recommend you do. For younger Christians, I would say, you know what? In fact, I'm going to cap myself off there. What I'm going to do for younger Christians is I'm going to put together my top 5 resources for young Christians. Things and, resources and platforms where you can go and learn about the Bible. You can learn about the gospel. You can learn about Jesus, and you can basically get a full comprehensive understanding of what you believe and why you believe in it. These are just kind of more in-depth and advanced topics and resources. But if you're a young Christian, it's really good to, for one, read the whole Bible, right? But 2, you want to see it illustrated, or you want to see it talked about, or you want to see it laid out in a way that, is good for you. So with that being said, that would be my recommendation for top 5 resources for advanced Christians. I think I can hear my daughter crying in the background, so I'm going to go see what she's doing. But that'll be the topic for this episode. I hope you guys enjoy that. I hope it's resourceful. I hope you guys listen to this on your car ride to work. I hope it gives you some encouragement. For future episodes, me and my wife will do stuff like that, and obviously various other topics. So thank you guys so much for listening. This was the Shadburn Show, and I will see you next time.